introduce man. So I think so many things Dr. Asrani already talked about. How is she? What is she? How does she work? How does she make other work? But my association with Ishpala ma'am, I would say that she's one of my role model. And I always see she becoming younger and younger with the age. And that's what we can witness, and we all should learn the way her zeal is there for working. So we all know that she has a clinic at Bombay, she's NJH editor. So all those things I'm going to talk to you that, but then what is my personal touch with her? And what are her qualities that I really appreciated always? And that is what I normally wish her on birthdays also with the same messages. So I would say she's role model for me and role model for so many of us. She's a woman power, which we always witness, and she's inspiration to many. Before I go ahead about the things that other things, but I must say that I have learned a lot from her, and I think majority of EB members would also agree with me. And what I have learned, first and foremost, is the devotion. The devotion that she has with homeopathy and the passion that she has, that Dr. Asrani also talked about. I have stayed at her place and I've seen her working at 5 o'clock in the morning, wherein whenever she asks for article, I would say, "Main busy hoon, mere paas time nahi hai." And I always wonder, how does she bring out time? And I think that's what we all need to learn. How does she manage time? How she manages various roles. I think being a woman, she's playing multiple roles. Of course, as a homeopathic physician, NJH editor, but multiple role at home front also. She's a wonderful human being, a wonderful mother, wife. I can see because I've witnessed. And the way she manages everything, I don't know if anyone is aware that one of the webinar when it was going on and she was talking, and something happened in the at the house, and husband was sick and was taken to the hospital. But the way she continued with all the sensibility with the webinar, and then immediately she rushed to the hospital. I don't think this quality can be there with each and every one of us. So I think she brings on a lot of positivity. I must tell you, she is a person, and the best evidence for that is pandemic. So there are so many, but recent, if I say in this pandemic, all are depressed, anything like the mental health is a big issue that we have talked before. But she is the person who made, like we, as a NJH EB family, went on talking about what should be done, we should do something. And she is the first person to initiate all the activities. And that is how, during COVID, with the support and with the idea of Dr. Vishpala ma'am, we started with NJH Telegram group, Tuesday Telegram group, this Saturday webinar. Majority of are there on every second Saturday. You know, we were fighting that so many webinars are going on, why should we go ahead? But then she was very firm, no, and quality of webinars that we are organizing at NJH are excellent. And she is the main person behind all these activities. One more quality, because I think we all know her as a homeopath, but her artistic quality. I don't know, all are aware the way she learns dancing, she enjoys dancing. And I again was fortunate to have her at Baroda for Garba. She just flew down only for Garba. And that's the spirit she has. And that's what she transferred to others also. We are really, really proud of you, ma'am. We really love you. And we really love NJH, and we are really fortunate to be a part of NJH EB editorial board especially. Hospitality is one of the other aspects that we all wait for EB meeting yearly, and we enjoy everything, her hospitality. What more I can say? I just can go on saying. I'll just end with few data which is supposed to be talked about. Is, I would say, that beauty attracts the eye, but personality captures the heart. I would say both are applicable. She has a beauty and she has a personality, and that's what she captures everyone's heart. So here we have Vishpala ma'am. This is my experience with her, and let us go for formal introduction, because that is also important for all those who are not very aware of her. She's a passionate homeopath as told by Dr. Asrani, and why she should not be. Why? Because she owes her life to homeopathy as her mother got pregnant only after consulting a famous homeopath. So you can just understand since when she is with homeopathy. And I don't want to say how old is she, because she doesn't look so, she's very young. So she's practicing. She has 4 clinics at Bombay. She's a homeopathic physician to MLW Memorial Hospital at Palghar. She's of course editor to National Journal of Homeopathy. She's homeopathic consultant to Other Song. Life and soul of NJH she is. I think that we all have been witnessing, and she's invited speaker to national and international conferences. So, and of course, she has edited almost 249 NJH issues. And if you can just, whenever NJH comes up, I can on reading that editorial. And the way she expresses herself, I think that's excellent, and that's the quality which she possesses with. So here we have with us Dr. Vishpala ma'am, and she's going to present a wonderful case of hormonal imbalance in chocolate cyst and homeopathy. So the floor is yours, ma'am, and please share your experiences with all. And let us welcome our editorial, Dr. Vishpala Parthasarathy. Ma'am, please.
Thank you, Hema. I think I should not talk at all. Everybody said everything. I feel so happy and also a little embarrassed. But yeah, but it's very nice that I have this wonderful team behind me and all these friends, and we are doing so much and sharing so much and spreading our knowledge. But yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. And Hema is a very, very close friend. Actually, the whole NJH team is my really close family for me. So I feel so happy, Hema, to have shared such wonderful moments. If there was once a time when every year I used to go to Baroda just in the Navratri and stay with them. Okay. So this case is like a little path breaking for me, and it will be for you too. So we are going to go through it, and not only will we go through it, but we will understand it. We will go through how to select a remedy, what is the process that we do, and we will study the remedy. All a little too much for this short talk, but we are going to do it because you are all going to cooperate with me. So marriage is no bed of roses. So you all will tell me, so what? What's new in that? But this is not all. Just no bed of roses is one thing, but a bed only full of thorns is quite another, right? And we are going to see how this little girl, cute little girl, managed all this. So Dr. Ellen, 32 years, came for chocolate cyst, accompanied my mother in December 2019. And we saw what the little picture here says, crushed girl. So her symptoms were very, very, very sharp pain in the left iliac fossa, 5 days before menses started, during also, and then 5 days after that. So since October 2019, it had become really severe. And so she came to us in December. Actually, her gynac referred her to us. So it was very severe. It was diagnosed as left ovarian chocolate cyst, and the size was 4x2, 3x2 by 4 centimeters. The CA125, which rises in many female conditions, was 71 when the normal is 35. Complaints were worsening each month, but her menstrual cycle was quite normal, means regular, 6 days by 28 to 30 days. The flow was very heavy with profuse clots. No odors, no staining. Her last period was 16th November and her menarche was at 15 years. So 5 days before menses, she would also get leukorrhea, thick, yellowish whites, leaving white stains. Menses during, she would feel giddy, nausea, lot of cough with throat irritation, better by warm, and lot of constipation leading to piles. There was bloating of the face and the body. The hunger actually not increased, decreased, and weakness. During the first day of her period, she would get shivering, better by warm, lot of weakness, couldn't stand, lower abdominal pain, 3 marks, better by holding. She needs no crocin, won't help, cyclopam, 3 times a day, means at least 9 every cycle she needed to take. She was in such severe pain. And gastritis. The So she was 3 times gestation, 2 babies she had, 1 MTP because she was not prepared for the third child and she had some exam and also she had to leave the third child. 2010, her son was born. He was oligohydramnios, 3.25 kilos. 2013, daughter was born, oligohydramnios again, 3.5 kilos. So both babies were heavy. She had swelling of the feet, uterus was weak. For the first baby, she could only lactate for 3 months because she was appearing for a final BHMS exam. She's a homeopath. And for her second baby, 1.5 years she could lactate. So we could see that she had lots of trouble all throughout. 2016, she also had hemorrhoids, which were very pricky with bright red bleeding from hard stools and also before menses. Pain in the left iliac fossa 1 hour before passing stool. So it was like she was sitting on a cactus. That severe was the pricking pain. She gets recurrent hoarseness with little cough on washing clothes, skirts, cold draft or early morning when it's a little cold, and better by warm. She is very thirsty with constipation, tongue is coated white. Past history, she had hepatitis A, 8 years old, 2019 typhoid, and the family history, she had parental grandmother with diabetes and hypertension and so on. She was medium, good height, 5 feet 5 inches with 60 kilos weight, so quite a nice build. Appetite is reduced since she had this cyst, and water she drinks a lot, 2.5 liters a day, craving for coffee and fish, constipated with pain in the left iliac fossa. Urine she has to rush, always feels that the bladder is full. Nails have white spots, skin is dry and sensitive, and she had ichthysis, and it was better by homeopathic treatment, but it left her really embarrassed and weak. We'll see that later. Hair fall also, 50 a day, and this started after typhoid in September 2019. She gets only 5 to 6 hours of sleep, but it is refreshing, and few days she has some teeth grinding. Her dreams are falling from height or building and gets up with a start. So here we have gone through so many things. What are the things we are going to take for when we try to figure out which remedy? So we have to understand that also. I'm marking some of the important things. She's thermally chilly. So what is her life story? She was earlier calm and composed, but after marriage she's become irritable. But most of the time she's quiet and suppressed. Occasionally when it becomes too bad, she speaks out. She weeps a lot. Brooding is a lot. The mother is supportive, so patient shares everything with the mother. She's very affectionate. Wants mute everybody else, please. And she wants affection in return, like all of us do, but she doesn't get it.
May I request all to please mute yourself.
This is a webinar going on, please. You have some private work, please get out of this place and do your work, no problem. She has very few friends and mother is her best friend. So she has a lot of anxiety about her own health and more so about her husband, as he has undergone angioplasty twice at this young age. She has a lot of fear of the mother-in-law and a lot of social fear also. Patient says she is very stubborn about her career. Means she tries to start her career actually. Very fastidious, likes cleanliness, likes to be on time. Contradiction aggravates, consolation ameliorates, weeping ameliorates, but all she gets is only weeping. And therefore she likes to be alone. Okay, so about her life story, she was born on 9th January 1987, very shy as a child, very reserved, never shared anything with anybody. And she had this severe ichthyosis, a skin complaint where you have almost like leather-like skin. This made me feel very embarrassed, in case somebody noticed it. See the skin and look at the grandmother. My grandmother always pointed out that I have very bad skin. So embarrassment, being suppressed, all this started very, very early in her life. My mother used to make me wear full sleeve clothes and full socks and tights to hide my skin. But life was good with my brothers. So she looks at the good, positive side also. They always cared for me. I was very obedient. Since childhood, I helped my mom in all the housework as she was working in a bank. Since both parents were working, so I had to stay with my grandmother. And she only cared for the brothers, and she was always criticizing me, as we saw earlier. But I was very close to my elder brother and would share everything with him. My family was conservative, so I was not even allowed to play outside, though I really wanted to. So suppression has started very early. She married 24th February 2008, quite early. I was studying in the first year. This is all in patient's own words. I was studying in first year BHMS in Alibag and got this proposal of my husband. Being a conservative family, and it's thinking it's a good match because the father-in-law was her father's friend, or they worked in the same company, something like that, decided to get me engaged early. But then the same father-in-law who was very nice, he expired suddenly with stroke. So all came to naught actually. Father-in-law was the one who had proposed me for his son. He liked me a lot and used to talk to me and care for me a lot. But he though went away and she got no support after that. So the Indian belief is that if a close family member expires, then the marriage should be done within a year to have that blessing. So my marriage took place early. I was very innocent. I obeyed everything my parents said. Very good child. My husband was ready for marriage, but my mother-in-law never wanted this. She never wanted an educated daughter-in-law. She even returned my ring given for size for the engagement. So it was a sad state of affair. She was jealous of me since day one. Even on marriage day, she made faces at me. On reception day, food went short, so my husband had to face much problems, and for that, he blamed my family even till now. I always kept quiet. He was arrogant, blunt, and very stubborn. And all she could do was cry. My life turned upside down from day one of my marriage. In anger, my husband can even throw the costliest phone. And I would be stunned. You think, whom am I married to? I am helpful, understanding, and caring, and he is the complete opposite. At his place, nobody accepted me. My mother-in-law and sister-in-law were much too jealous. They don't even talk to me properly. My husband first didn't even allow me to go and stay at my mom's place. He used to shout at me. So initially I thought he's just loving and he's loving me, so he's possessive. So you know how different people look at different things at different angles. This is what is very important. I tried to do all the work and help, but my mother-in-law never gave me love or praise. She did all the work. Nor did my husband praise me. He always told me, you must do all the household work, even if you're sick or even if you are a doctor. My mother-in-law made me do all the work and didn't keep servants. They always said negative things about me and insulted me. They didn't want to complete my studies, and they harassed me. I got pregnant, they were very happy. My mother-in-law especially was very happy. They didn't want me to work or to practice. They said bad things about me and my parents. Very abusive words. I felt I'm staying with some very lower kind of people who use such words. I tried very hard, and whatever little time I would get, I would pursue my studies and work for a little time. Now I've become strong and try to fight for myself, but they have isolated me from the whole family. Still, nobody talks to me properly. Now I'm tired of this life and don't want to please anyone. I'm still living with my husband for the sake of my 2 kids. So what do you get from this? Anybody wants to share? So it is like I told you, it's like a thorn of bed full of thorns, right? What do you do? What do you do for such a case? You know, I am so grateful. As Dr. Jago shared a case, beautiful case, and we all practice like that. But there were times when we felt there were some cases, even though we got 75% in practice, but still we had 25% where we were not getting enough results. So all the time we are trying to improve ourselves. Even this year, I am so happy that in the pandemic time, I have joined this psychiatric fellowship module, and it is beautiful the way we are working out, which I'm going to share with you today, where such cases, you know, which it didn't, which won't get resolved or got resolved partially, are now so much more better. I'm really thankful to the Lord and to the pandemic. So what was this case? You'll take all these rubrics. So you take, in my way, nice way of doing things, what I call living repertory. As the patient talks, I keep punching in rubrics. So I took dryness, rudeness, reproaches, admonition, anger, controlled anger, timidity, weeping, everything you will tell me, what you will tell me she has told. Embarrassment, she's quiet, she feels that she's laughed at, she hides herself, domination of others aggravate, anxiety health about, fear disease of, she feels now she can't handle things anymore, delusion that wrong she has been done to and she has done, confidence zero now in herself, pities herself, weeping, tearful mood with anger. So what are the remedies which will come up? You know, something which we always say, staphylos aureus, calcarea. So all these remedies came up very strongly. So what shall we do? So let us look at the reports. So here is her report previously. I'd already told you the size of the cyst. And this is after me, we've not been able to do it in the pandemic, too many reports, but one we have done where there's a marked improvement in the size. So I then repertorized again and again and again and said there has to be something else. So if you take this, you get some other way of looking at it also. Okay? So let's first, before I even talk about the remedy and all, let's do the follow-up. So this is, she began with pain, which gradually decreased. By the same month itself, she could take only one cyclopam, and earlier she needed 3 for 3 days, you know that. Day 2, the pain was so much that she took that one cyclopam. Day 3, she could work for 5 hours. Backache was there, but after that, when she took rest, she was better. Overall, she is much better. This is within the first month of starting treatment, and she's very happy. By January, her CA 125 from 71 came down to 55. The ESR came to 18 from 56. She was better 3 marks. Even the mood is good. Even if she gets upset, she gets back to normal very quickly and there are no symptoms. Constipation is better. Period pain, only 2 cyclopams in the entire cycle. How much she used to take earlier? 9. By June 2020, she does not need cyclopam. If she gets a little severe pain, she takes Polosin 1 m and she for the immediate relief. So one time, most luckily for her, most of the times the period would start in the afternoon, morning she could have finished her work and all. This one time when she had the severe pain in the middle, then she couldn't do anything in the morning. The children had to be washed and sent to school, and the husband knows nothing. And he just kept shouting at her and saying, how am I supposed to manage? Somehow he gave a bath, somehow he doesn't know how to make the daughter's hair, and he did it. And then finally he took them and dropped them to school. So that much, she gets incapacitated, or she used to get incapacitated. Now she is able to manage with no pain, no cyclopam, no nothing. So, remedy. What do you think? It is. So here, what is your feeling about this case? We got calcarea, we got staphylos aureus. So far, we always thought staphylos aureus, it's so much like death, like mortification. It should help. But staphylos aureus is a plant. Is this a plant? This is not a plant. This is not even a mineral. What is this? So calcarea goes off, staphylos aureus goes off. So this is what? Yeah, so this is like animal. She's an abused, disgraced person who's tolerating all shit. So animal kingdom is confirmed. and a prey at that. Abuse happens mostly in mammals, so she is a prey mammal. But which one? How are we going to decide? Fortunately for us, help is at hand, and it is not just a shot in the dark. The repertory has shown us that yes, animals also come up quite high, but we don't know which animal it is. So here is Mahesh Gandhi's animal chart. I don't know how many of you all are familiar with it, but I'm going to take you through it a little bit. So first of all, it is divided, as you can see, on top invertebrates and vertebrates. You can see the bottom part is invertebrates, the top part is invertebrate, and the bottom part is vertebrate. So what is she? Okay. So there are two major divisions, vertebrate and non-vertebrate. Keep the chart a little bit in mind. Okay, I'll show it to you again and again. So this is vertebrate. So it is the lower half of the chart. So then it is divided into three after that. So water, earth, and aerial. So is it aquatic, terrestrial, or aerial? So it is not, it is mostly terrestrial. So we come to the middle third column, which is of mammal. Yeah. So it is earth and prey. So the mammals, middle column. So it is the fifth column of the chart. So much we've been able to narrow down just by this. Okay. So here it is for you. So can you see this is the lower part, the vertebrate part. So you have the fifth column. Here is your first column in aquatic. So it is not aquatic. We'll leave it. In the terrestrial also you have water and earth, and we have decided this is the earth. So it is the mammals and the prey mammals, not the predator mammals. So here we come down to all this group where you have the marsupials, you have the primates, you have the rhinos, you have all these. So now what do you do after this? Can you see what I'm trying to tell you? That it is possible. You're so close to your goal, Lana Tony.
I request you please mute yourself.
Okay.
Everyone, please mute yourself.
I'll put it on the chat. Okay. So now you have to decide your inner age. Can you please mute everybody? Hello. Hello.
Ma'am, can you please unmute yourself? Ma'am, please unmute yourself. Vishpala ma'am. Vishpala ma'am, please unmute yourself.
Okay. Done? Can you hear me?
Yes, now you are.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. So decide the inner age. You understand what is inner age? See, we see everybody, we see people. Sometimes the older person comes to us, we think that be a nice, wise, older lady, mature, quiet. And she's talking about how her daughter-in-law is so bad to her or somebody else is so bad to her. So this is not a mature, nice, wise person. So she is not grown with age, and her age is somewhere much, much less than that, right? So every time you have to decide what is the inner age. So we came to this little bit of a column. Now we have to decide what is the inner age. So, hello. This girl is obedient, wants to obey the parents. She wants to not revolt. She keeps quiet. She takes all the suffering, and she thinks that is what is not right, for her to react, to answer back, to curse like they do. So there is wrong and right issues. So she's also focused on learning. Whatever few hours she's allowed out, she does courses in medicine, skin, homeopathy, etc. Because she's not allowed to practice, so she does whatever she can to keep herself updated. So what is she? What kind of an age she is? So we've seen that it is vertebrate, and the lower chart wants to work and so not be confined. Earth element, mammal, prey. Column 5, inner age, control, dominated, right and wrong, feels she is wronged also, plus focus on learning, on work. So what age is this? Here. You've come down to this much. where you have the mammals and the prey mammals, and this is it. So what is the age? Age is somewhere in childhood where you listen to everything, and the school age where you want to learn, where you want to decide what is right, what is wrong. The anal where there is an issue of control, somebody is controlling you. And the remedy is, so the remedy is horse. It is lac equine. So we are going to try to understand again. It is the mammal theme. The main issue is about confinement. She is not free. Life is not going in the direction she wants. The mammal who is domesticated, the direction is given to me. Horses, you know, have blinders. They have to follow the direction which is given to them. See, like that. Holding back, restrained from doing what she wants. Right from childhood, she wanted to go out to play, but she was restrained. Here she wants to practice, but she is restrained. You know that the reins of the horse which restrain. The earth element wanted to work and not be confined. The control, anal, late childhood and school age. Inner age is school age, which for horse is school age, lac equine. With a pampered child, she gave us all the themes of mammal. She's the only girl between two brothers. Marriage life is not going as you want. They are giving me direction. They're telling me what to do. Issues also with all the feminine things, menses, mammae, uterus. But she is got a strong child and mother connection with her children. She says she cannot leave because of her two children. They need their father. So here it is. I'm showing it to you again. Can you see? Here is your earth column. See, connect it here to school age. Early childhood, school age. Here also it is earth. And if you go straight, here it is Equidae family. Which are the Equidae animals? The horse, the zebra, and the donkey. Okay. So what is the difference? Why is it the horse? Why not the donkey? Because donkey, though it knows it is intelligent, it is treated as stupid and kicked. Of course, you will say she is also kicked, but she's got power, she's intelligent, she is majestic looking, good looking, she's strong, she works very hard, so does the donkey. So, but it is the horse. So let's understand the horse, yes? How are we doing for time, Hema? So we'll just, this is not enough for me to leave you at this stage. We have to understand the horse.
Yeah,
So
it's 8:40.
Okay.
So
how much time are you giving me? 10 minutes?
yes.
Okay. So I'll take 10 minutes, 15 minutes. At least we must understand this is a new remedy. People don't know, so we must understand.
Absolutely.
So horse's milk is from which the remedy is made. So this is the horse, and what is his inside story? To me personally, horses always represented power, strength, love, loyalty. I love horses. I really love horses. All my life as a child or even today, I love all dog and horse stories. I made my mother even paint horses for me. Here is the painting which I still have. Isn't it beautiful? Yeah. So what was shocking for me is that something which I thought was so royal, so powerful. So it was very shocking when I learned that horses seem to be among the most unhappy and dissatisfied creatures on earth. They have been domesticated for 6,000 years, thousands and thousands of years. We even gave them shoes to wear, right? And we think that is helping, but it is worse for them. It breaks their feet. It is terrible. We have used them for a variety of horrendous tasks. We have used them for war, used in battles, and the wars were fought on back of these creatures. Millions of horses died in World War I. We use them, man is used for, but we use more horses. They pushed and pulled, so did the donkeys, and carried heavy loads until they dropped off from exhaustion. And then you can see the blinkers, they are not allowed to see here, there, must only go as they are guided. They have been used and abused even on the farm. Other setting for horse trouble is the rodeo and the racetrack, right? They are pushed beyond endurance. They love to run, but spurring them, whipping them, you know, that whip which like cuts flesh, it takes away all the joy of running. And what do they want to do? They only want to please the master. They are the most loyal. This is the most important trait for a horse. They are more loyal than the dog too. A racehorse is intentionally kept in a very small paddock so that he develops unnaturally intense state of pent-up energy. And this energy is released when the horse is raced so that they race faster. So they are really abused. Like a cow, the horse is also exploited. But like a dog, he needs to please. He's always made to do things which are difficult for him. Out of his desire to please, he puts in a lot of effort. There is always a fear of failure, and he starts feeling that he's incapable and useless. He knows that once he is useless, he will just be killed. So he wants to be useful all the time, and he constantly does whatever the master wants him to do. So he is very loyal. He runs beyond capacity. He wants to win the race for his master's sake. And then he loves the praise and the love at the end of it. But if he doesn't get that also, then we've seen what happens to this girl. She gets a chocolate cyst. The sugar cubes the master always keeps in his pocket and hands out to him, he loves. In childhood, my favorite story was Lassie the dog, who came home from 100 miles away. She was taken away from the boy, kept 100 miles, and yet she found her way back. You know that story, all of you? And the movie Spellberg, you know, the famous Spellberg's war horse. Everybody in the war, when it came, everybody's whatever assets they had were taken away to fight the war. The horses were taken away to fight. But this horse fought the battles and then came back to his master, the little boy. So the bonding is so strong. And what is the miasm? They are so abused, so it has to be leprous miasm. He is controlled and beaten, he is helpless and exploited. How does the horse's consciousness manifest itself in a man? He is man's best friend. Like dogs, they remain very loyal to the end of life. They are not.
Irish coffee.
They are sociable, cooperative, and affectionate. And in the wild also, they are herds. They form herds and groups. They want to please the master and go round and round and round uselessly because the master wants him to. Whatever demands are made, and they are peacefully, they try to sort out problems. But if they are kept in a pen and they need to fight, then they can even fight. So a tight domestic fan, they can kill or even fight, but mostly not. So in the wild too, they choose a mature stallion as their leader, then they follow. Threat of being overcome by a younger stallion, like every king of the jungle. And so the stallion forces the other males out, and at 18 months, the other young stallions, horses are driven off so that he can win without fighting. So let us now look at the whole image of the horse. One thing is remaining, no, two things are remaining really, is the provings. Okay, Nancy Herrick did provings on 9 provers. The proving was incredibly difficult experience for everyone involved in it. The initial provers found the state unbearable and were eager to end the proving. Prover 1 said, I'm frustrated, overwhelmed by everything. I want to quit school. I want to quit work. I want to get divorced. I want to stay at home and do nothing. That was the state. So apathy, ennui, struggle, but I'm losing ground, feeling apathy and exhausted, difficult encounters and frustration. Like he gave an example, I tried to get FedEx, but it snows, I couldn't do. I was trying to call the house, but I couldn't get hold of him. So things don't work out. The lady who worked on horse rubrics became so irritable, frustrated, restless, and dissatisfied, she could hardly work for the rest of the week. She felt like running away from it all. From the ones who made lax equinum, they did not experience so much wrong as the others who worked on it. I put in a lot of effort, but the more than I should have. But I was irritable. I've tried to do this for pharmacy to use as my practice. Then I'll figure out the remedies, but the feeling was of frustration. Then they are confrontational, critical, or nasty, impatient, irritable, wanted to be first in the bus in the office, competitive, impatient, confronting the clerk, how she will not do anything. But they can be rude also. Organized, much neater than usual. One of the provers said, I'm keeping things much cleaner and more organized, more fastidious, impatient, more killing and violence also. My partner, I points a gun at me. He wants to shoot me. I want to why? Intense nightmare. People against me. They are trying to kill me. Embarrassment. We've seen this, right? My neighbor saw me nude. In our patient, we saw her hiding her skin. Embarrassment before our thing. Meditation helps. Past is full of failures and future holds no hope. It's mind is preoccupied with disturbing thoughts of past and future. Meditation seems to be the only solution, but the disturbance of the mind does not let him be in the present. Meditation is difficult. Okay, so those are some of the proving rubrics. We think that we won't even get the rubrics, and then how will we find the remedy? So we have one, of course, the chart and Mahesh Gandhi's approach, but we also have rubrics. You can see these. I'm just going to run through them. So you see the vast majority of rubrics we have: ambitious, anxiety, complaining, concentration, confrontation, delusion, so many, hindered he is, and all that, trapped, despair, discontented, disharmony in the family. Dreams are like maximum. We said, Jago said how magnesium has maximum dreams, Kali has even lacks. So animals being beaten, betrayed, important dreams like murdered, naked, we have seen rejected. Then dreams of war. Yesterday I gave a patient who I've been treating for the last few months with sepia. And then her pains are not going away, headaches are not going away. She told me for no reason she got dreams of war. What has she got to do with war? And then her grief because one friend died is not gone for 20 years. So I've given her yesterday only lac equinum. I will tell you how she does. Sports is important for them. They love sports. They are very, very energetic. Then fears, frustration. I'm going through all this just to show you that there are so many rubrics available. Okay. So our patient, we saw this. This is our patient's rubric. Just see sepia, which is maximum is 18. So was calcarea and staphysagrina. This I took only the animal remedies. And see how lac caninum has 14 and lac equinum also has 14. And if you say that proving me all the lacs you can take, then here it really has lots of, covers lot. Yielding, timidity, confidence, want of, blame, too strong responsibility, prostration of the mind, wrong done to. Then fear alone being, it is there in other lacs. Fear alone being, injustice cannot support is in lac equinum, discourage. Helplessness is there in lac asinum, which is not shown here. Forsaken feeling, abuse ailments from, again it is there in lac asinum. Hurt, betrayed, weakness, appetite diminished, it is there in lac caninum, it is there in sepia. Female tumors, ovaries, it is not there in any of the lacs, but sepia has. Female pain and mortification, all that lac equinum has. So 14 rubrics, if you add asinums to, so 16, and if you add lac caninums 1, 17 out of 20 rubrics to cover for a lac is like huge. So don't think you cannot do it. This can give you an indication. And if you know, follow another chart. You have another path now to do this work. And then you can do find the right remedy. And the result has been phenomenal. Okay. So thank you all so much. I know I've exceeded a little time and I have been a little fast, but I think I covered a lot and I gave you a good picture. This remedy has been so useful. I brought 2 patients back from old, means I was treating them for PCOD. I had a choice. I could have done so many PCOD cases with you. And I thought she was a very good mother. She had 3 children, very well behaved, all that. Once I talked to her and she said, my husband never let me take any decision. Even going where on a holiday, I can't do. And she's doing very well with lac equine. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, madam, for wonderful presentation. And I think everyone must have learned a new approach. Most importantly, new approach and new remedy both. Because we do get satisfied with Sapia, we do get satisfied with Leccan, but we are not, we don't explore so much. And that's the new way of approaching to the case, as wonderfully shown by Dr. Vishpala ma'am. So, thank you so much, Dr. Jagos sir and Dr. Vishpala ma'am, for wonderful webinar. We will go to question answer, but surprisingly, today, there are hardly any questions. There are only 2 questions which have come up for Dr. Jagos. Sir, you'll have to unmute yourself. And the question is, do we have medicine for mitochondrial genetic disorder? That's one of the questions asked during your presentation of thyroid case. The question for Dr. Jagos. So are you there?
I can't hear you. This voice is cracking.
Is it? I'm not audible. The question is, do we have medicine for mitochondrial genetic disorder? That's one question. And some of the family member is suffering from that disorder, and that's how they're asking this. I think
Any of the EB can answer.
anyone can answer, yes, true.
No, I really have no clue to this.
Dr.
Okay.
Praveen, Dr. Ajit.
And the other question is, why is modern medicine more known in compared to homeopathy? There's also question, treatment for myopia dystrophy, genetical disorder. So there are multiple questions related to genetical disorder, wherein we have to have one webinar for that. Any of the EB member can answer.
Dr. Emma.
Yeah.
Dr. Emma.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dr.
Here, were you asking about mitochondrial disorders?
Yes, yes.
Yes. Actually, we had one case in our hospital, mitochondrial disorder, which was treated and it has become much, much better. I cannot say it is cured. And as you just rightly said, like these are all genetically defective cases. Though, of course, nowadays the medical science says most of the disorders are genetic. But these types of disorders, which are very, very difficult to be treated. And we have our medicines which have the capacity to maneuver the genetic sequence. And in fact, I should add here, my PhD thesis is on that, the maneuvering of genetic sequence. So it is possible to do it, provided, like Dr. Vishpala has shown that case where, of course, he has selected a remedy. Even Dr. Jagos showed one beautiful case. So like you have to spend a lot of time with the case and understand the whole constitution and treat these patients constitutionally. And it is possible to correct even genetic dyscrasia. I'll just add one point here before I wind up. My Mrs. Dr. Aruna treated one case, Mullerian agencies, 3 cases. In fact, in one case, there was no uterus, no ovaries, and they have all grown up, and she got menses after 18 years, and she got married also. Now they are waiting for pregnancy. So you can see miracles which can happen because the medicines which we call homeopathic medicines are like that, having capacity to maneuver the genetic sequence. Thank you, Dr.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you
I
so
may,
much.
I may add something.
Yes, sir. Dr. Bhaskar Bhatt is speaking. Yes, sir.
Actually, all genetic disorders more or less are related to the miasmatic background, and many times with a homeopathic medication, you can improve their condition. You cannot cure them totally, but to a great extent, you can help them. Recently, the last actually this December issue of the NGS is going to cover a lot of cases of the developmental delays.
Yes.
Most of the problem with the development in the kids are related to the genetic disorders. And I had a case where I have put a case over there where a child was diagnosed with Down syndrome, and now he is studying in a school with a definitely with the difficulty, but he's studying, which was not possible. Doctors diagnosed that he cannot. So we can improve a lot, we can help them a lot, and we should definitely take those cases and we should start with the medication.
I agree with you, sir, because we are also working with children where genetic disorders we are treating. And to our surprise, we have been able to make so much of changes. I won't say that we can
Yes.
cure, but we can
Yes.
definitely modify their quality of life. We can help them to a great extent.
Right.
Where I think nothing can be offered.
I have a question for Dr. Praveen Kumar.
Yes.
Is altering the genetic sequence you would do after the patient is diagnosed even at any age, or you would do when the patient is pregnant and there is a positive history in another child?
When they come for treatment.
Okay.
So can we prevent that? That's what.
Okay. Can I add for this also actually?
Yes.
I
Sir.
had a case of a girl. She came when she was pregnant. Her father is a gynecologist, known. He is now 90 years and quite known. He was working with the VS hospital. They diagnosed that during pregnancy, the child, the fetus, is not developing the tract actually from kidney to the ureter is not developing properly, and they say this is to be operated soon after birth, or let's wait for a couple of months, but she has to undergo operation in the early infancy. The mother is a homeopathic doctor. She came to me, sir, what can we do? I said, see, this is definitely a developmental delay. Let us go for Thuja 1M and then again 10M, and let us see after a month how do you feel. She was running 6 months, 7 months. After a month, the ureter was developed totally normal. Her father was surprised that this has never happened in our history actually, and I'm very happy that the child is born total normal.
Hema has done a lot of work on children with a lot of disorders. Hema, you can tell about that a little bit.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, that we've been treating so many disorders where Hunter's syndrome and so many syndrome which are genetic, but there are certain part of that disorder we have been able to manage. Of course, cerebral palsy is not a part of that, but there are so many disorders that those are coming up, and we can definitely modify certain aspect of those patients. I don't know. I had one case wherein tuberous sclerosis was there in MRI, and there were convulsion and all. And we started treating that patient. Convulsion stopped. The patient was not on anti-epileptic. And later on, when we went for MRI, that wasn't there. So like this type of things definitely surprises her. But I think these are the things we need to study more on. And we can definitely do something. We can definitely do something in certain type of disorder.
When evidence-based and we'll gather more and more cases, we'll be able to give you more and more answers.
Yes, yes. And I think we should try to have a webinar wherein whatever we have been able to offer in such type of disorder, we can share so that we can further work on those aspects of homeopathy. So it's very important to understand what is therapeutic problem definition and what is therapeutic problem resolution. So what am I going to treat in this case? Because I can't say I'm going to change your genetic things, but definitely expressions of those things, we are able to help to a great extent. And we are working on that still. So I think one webinar we must plan wherein we can share certain cases where nothing can be done, and we have been able to offer. We, as in homeopathy, has been
to do
able.
an SSMS in February sometime.
Yes,
So
yes,
we have to think of which topic, and we will
yes.
inform you all, because the SSMS was supposed to be in Aurangabad
Okay.
next year, but that cannot be. So we'll have a Zoom webinar in February. But
Perfect, perfect. Another question, ma'am, for you, that what are the important aspect in case taking for PCOS? I think we should end with after this question. There is a question.
I could have gone into PCOS and gone into all the details. I have done a project of 25 cases, and we found that the results, you all know what it is. So they are all problems that time, starting from the period, starting from hirsutism, all the parameters of the hormonal levels which are disturbed. So all those things which are there, I could have done those, and I could have given that whole presentation where we had very good results. If it meant some people dropped out, so after the dropout, we had about 75% failure rate.
Right.
Dropout. So those are cases which are more simpler than this case. So I just thought that we should take this case. And we have one or two issues on PCOS.
Yes, yes. That's what I was coming to. And that's an important aspect of Engage, because it's always theme based. So if anyone who is interested can go through that journal, that theme based journal. Any theme, you can just identify NJH, and you can just refer that. Wonderful articles are there, and all aspects are covered, like right from the case taking and management.
There's no way that you will not get one tip of how to handle your case if you go through that one journal. That is what once a senior homeopath, Dr. B.T. Patel in Bangalore, told me, that every time I have a case, I read that journal of NJH, and I'm sure to get some clue. I was so happy, and this he told me some 20 years ago. So I was very happy.
True. Wonderful. And I think for more questions, more queries, all are requested to join NJH. NJH is there at multiple platforms. One is, of course, webinar, which is all alternate Saturday. Please invite your colleagues, your friends, and your acquaintances to join, because so many stalwarts are, bringing out time and sharing their experiences. And another important aspect is Tuesday Telegram group. I think more than 800 participants are there. And
Question there also, we'll try and answer if you have any.
Sorry?
They can ask the question there right
Absolutely. That's what I'm coming to. That's the best platform to ask questions, because all EB member one by one are sharing cases, and you can ask all the questions to them. So please join our family as early as possible and be a part of NJH family.